So Zan ended up winning the Lucky Llama Lorcana SmackDown and ended up taking down a lot of competition. So what's his deck look like? And can you expect to maybe see this a little bit more in the meta? Well, we are going to dive into that right now. So Zan, of course, decided to do something a little bit different. He was going to a big tournament. 97 people in all showed up, and it is interesting because he didn't necessarily go with anything that has been showing up on the meta. He went with, as we all probably know, Jafar. And the reason why that's going to be so interesting here is because, yeah, rightfully so, we haven't necessarily seen a good Jafar deck to actually start placing in these kinds of matches. But yet, here we are. Zan, who definitely is a pro and one of the best players in this game, has decided to take this to the next level and go in with this kind of deck. But also, what's even more interesting here is that he had some very interesting card choices that we are going to be taking a look at. Now, with that being said, the big thing that we are going to be taking a look at here in particularly is going to be how different a lot of the cards are. Now, the hardest part sometimes about this match too is that you have to basically mitigate the Jafars on board, because the biggest thing is if you are going against this deck, you do not want the big Jafar shift to come in as a factor here, because if the Jafar shifts in, then odds are, you're at least going to be losing 3 lore. And the character is Jafar is evasive as well, which can be absolutely crazy. And so this is the deck, and I absolutely love the idea of this deck. Now, of course, again, the biggest weakness is going to be, of course, the early Jafars. This Jafar is a 3/2. A Storm can take it out really easily. A Strength of a Raging Fire can take it out really easily. Same with the other Jafar. Now, of course, bigger Jafar is really interesting as well, because when you play this character, chosen character gains Challenger +2 this turn. That's pretty good. And I absolutely love that idea here. And then, of course, you got your card draw, you got your Robin Hood shift line, and I had been testing a version of this deck at the beginning of the set, especially with all the new Jafar support that we got, which is really surprising because Jafar is actually in the next set. So it's going to be pretty crazy to see how many Jafar copies we can have running around at this point. It's going to be interesting, but that's off topic. With that being said, though, the Robin Hood is really interesting too, because you can do like turn 1 Robin Hood, turn 2, Smee, for example, and turn 3 turn 1 Robin Hood, turn 2 Jafar, turn 3 Robin Hood shift, turn 4 maybe a Genie, for example, and then turn 5 Jafar shift, whole new world, gain 7. And that can be pretty crazy in and of itself as well. But then if you also happen to pull in to your hand another whole new world, then the other Robin Hood can then immediately go and sing the other whole new world as well. So you can gain potentially 14 in one turn. That's a lot, and that's a pretty big game changer as well. Now, of course, at the same time, some of these Jafars, the Smees, the Genies, and things of that nature can go ahead and gain a lot of lore really quickly, which is fun to be able to look at. At the same time here, though, and this is something that's going to be very interesting as well, is that we also have something called the Lamp. Now, you banish this item, and if you have a character named Jafar in play, draw 2 cards. And if you have a character named Genie in play, return chosen character with cost 4 or less to their player's hand. 4 or less is absolutely insane. That's a lot of things that you can just go ahead and boop, bounce back right to them. That's some really cool utility, and the fact that this was able to work. Now, of course, there's not a whole lot of uninkables here in this deck either. Now, of course, you got 2 Along Came Zeuses for those big problems, 3 whole new worlds that are 5 cost, and then, of course, 4 lamps. And that's really it. Of course, the Genies too as well, but still, otherwise you're looking really good at this point as well. Now, of course, I also wouldn't necessarily be opposed to maybe even running like a This Is My Family, because even gaining 1, draw 1 is really good. But of course, with the bigger Jafar, that could be gain 2, draw 1, which would be absolutely insane as well. So things to keep in mind as you kind of go into this deck. But I mean, Zan is of course the pro here. I'm not. I don't have anything to my name in the sense of, credibility. But it's going to be really interesting. We're going to be taking a look at some gameplay here as well. But it's like, because in the finals, he ended up going against some Blurple and some things of that nature in the semifinals. And then in the finals, he went against Emerald Amethyst as well, which is going to be something to be talking about here as well. And this is basically how the meta has been looking as well for the 97-player tournament of the Lucky Llama. This is interesting. Blurple actually had a lot of showing here, which is really interesting. And also on top of that, EA even making it to the finals is pretty crazy as well. Now, of course, this is going to be all the decks that you can find on Ink Decks as well. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. Now, with the second place deck that Mo was playing, this is of course just going to be your EA, but there are some interesting things that he actually had going into this deck. And first and foremost, of course, that's going to be going in with the Lyle being back into the game. When you play this character, chosen opposing character gains Reckless during their next turn. So they basically have to attack. And then on top of that as well, whenever one of your other characters is banished, doesn't matter when, on your turn or your opponent's turn, then the opponent loses 1 lore. Then on top of that, of course, we also have, some fun stuff that you can do here. Some Genies. Crickies are extremely good right now. Some Elsas. Clarabelles to get some insane card draw. The Ursula shift, which is, kind of going back to its roots. And then even some Mother Knows Best and some 3 libraries as well. And of course, the Go-Go is going to be an absolutely big game changer, especially at that late game. They have like an Elsa out on the board and that has 4 damage on it. Really good to be able to get 4 lore gain just out of the blue for literally paying 2 extra to get a Go-Go out. Cool. Like, I will take that all day, every day. Anyway, but yeah, with that, it is a very interesting deck idea. So we're going to be taking a look, though, at the Blurple matchup here a little bit first. And it's a really interesting idea here because, I mean, you're seeing just exactly how fast Zan can go ahead and play this matchup. And now, of course, Cody is going to be going ahead and playing this as well. And the hardest part is, too, it's like you got to be watching out for your trades here. You got to be knowing your opponent's deck. And I think that was probably one of Zan's biggest benefits of playing this deck here is that while he, yes, is playing a deck with, especially in the top 16, you get to see your opponent's deck list and everything like that before the match and whatnot. It's really interesting, though, because a lot of people haven't necessarily been practicing against this deck. And then also there's the intimidation factor that could potentially be a very real thing as well. For example, going against Zan, who has the rapport behind him. He has a great resume. He knows what he's doing. He's very confident in how he presents himself in every game like that as well, too. He just got done with the LCCC. And all of that jazz as well. There is a lot here for him. And so even going against him as well, especially when you're in the semifinals or finals, with potentially a lot of great winnings on the line, there's a lot of ways that things can, mess up and, potentially not go your way. And so that's not to diminish anything about Zan playing this deck, but that's just something to maybe even keep in mind as we go about, talking about, these matchups and things like that as well. And so it's going to be really interesting to be able to see how all of that is going to be unraveling and if this deck after the fact is going to be able to unravel here a little bit better. And so at the same time, you get to kind of see what Zan is going to be doing here. There's a lot going his way. Now, of course, the Blurple is a very interesting color combination. He's got the Gaston as well as one of the key points of his deck. He's running 3 of the big Sapphire Gastons, which is really interesting as well. And so that's definitely something to keep in mind here as we go about that. And so it's just really interesting because, yeah, as this continues to kind of evolve and develop here, you get to see how everything kind of shapeshifts and whatnot. And Zan right now, of course, is down 5-11. That's not going to necessarily be anything to slow him down because just like that, he's able to at least get, a lot of things going for him right there and getting things done. That's a scary board state that was just like that. And I mean, if you're wanting to learn how to better play this deck, I highly recommend going in and watching him play this deck because that's going to be one of the quickest ways for you to be able to figure out for yourself how not only to play this deck, but what to do about it as well. We're going to be looking into potentially even adding some gameplay of playing this deck as well. But I mean, you see right there that Zan was able to get everything just over and done with as well, taking out, just getting insane amounts of lore gain, and then being able to get the win under his belt, coming from behind in that place as well. Now, of course, the finals is going to be really interesting as well. Things to keep in mind here. There's a lot of really interesting things that you need to keep in mind about all of this. And so, the Lyle is coming out right there. And I mean, here you are. You already see Zan that has gone ahead. And I mean, actually, let's go ahead and watch that because he was able to get the whole new world off. And that's something that's just absolutely insane as well, too. Let's just go speed. Let's go 2x. We're not listening to the audio. And so, I mean, that's going to be one of the biggest things here as well, because, there's the peak coming out, going up for 2, no actions to be able to be played as well, which is going to be very helpful. Now, at the same time, there's not a whole lot of actions that necessarily could be played, but if, for example, Mo needs the card draw, he cannot play a Friends on the other side anymore, but still the Crab coming in and taking out, being able to take out with the Ursula is pretty dang good as well. But, I mean, you're going to be seeing potentially, the Jafar coming out on this turn. This is a very good deck to counter the EA here as well. And the biggest thing why this is going to be such a good deck to counter EA is because you know that they don't necessarily have a whole ton of removal, for example. And that's going to be the biggest problem with EA. The only way that they necessarily can remove things, for example, is going to be by literally going in and attacking. So if you have Jafar that's going to be out and about, kind of thing, then you're going to be pretty much in a good spot because you know that he's not going to be taken out by a Let the Storm Rage On or by a, Strength of a Raging Fire or a big Jafar being taken out by Zeus as well. And I mean, here's the thing too. I love the lamp. It can come in for 2. It's uninkable. That's fine. Not a big deal. But then you can go ahead and just draw cards off of that and then banish a character back into hand. I mean, that already right then and there is so just insane. And the fact that you can have it out and then just go ahead and play a Jafar and then get both, the Genie and the Jafar to go off and, bounce something and draw something is an insane combo because you go up on card advantage and then you go up on all of that as well. And so, yeah, it looks like, I mean, some good choices there as well by Mo being able to take out some big problems there. But again, Zan was able to get a lot of answers right there. There's a Genie to be able to maintain some more card draw. The Pete, of course, is going to be questing. And then there is the Robin Hood that is going to be going down for ink. And so, again, this, if you want to learn how to play this deck, and I am going to be testing this deck here after this as well, and we're going to be putting up some videos about that as well because I am extremely interested. And there's the whole new world getting discarded with the big Jafar over and done away with as well, so that's going to be really interesting. And so, but again, this is a really good matchup for Zan here in this case, in my opinion, at least. And so there's a lot that he has going for him. And so, yeah, Genie's all around again. It's funny, though, because Genie's, kind of fell out of the wayside. They were really big last set, and then all of a sudden towards the end, there wasn't necessarily a whole lot that was going for them. But this has been a really interesting kind of matchup here. And then another Genie to get more card draw going. Well, this is also why I'm almost considering even running and testing this version of the deck with the Genie respective friend or whatever. I keep forgetting what the crap that card is called. The Genie whatever friend. Gosh. But anyway, it's a really supportive friend. Yes. Which is going to be a really interesting one as well, being able to quest and then draw 3 cards. It's just absolutely crazy on being able to do that. And so anyway, with that being said, there's a lot going on here that is really interesting to be able to see. And there's a lot of things to consider here as well, because it's just able to, deal with a lot. And then there's the Jafar, of course, coming out. He's at 15. One whole new world is going to just absolutely end it. Even still, Friends on the other side is going to be able to go ahead and get it done as well. And there's the whole new world to be able to just get the final 7 needed. And I mean, that's the scariest part too. You're on clock at that point. You get up to 13 and it can be over and done with just super quick. And so there's, of course, the Robin Hood going in right there as well. And I mean, we see Zan, of course, is a little bit behind here in the finals. But I mean, that's, again, nothing to necessarily be counting anything out. And again, there's the power of having the Clarabelle to be able to go ahead and destroy an item as well for 2 extra. That's just really good right then and there. Um, and of course the Go-Go is evasive as well, and so that's going to be getting you some good lore gain unless there are some kinds of removal. But just like what we saw, Zan doesn't necessarily have a ton of removal. He has the strength of a Raging Fire, and he has a Long Came Zeus. At the same time, he does have the 3/2 Jafar that is evasive on its turn, but otherwise there's not necessarily a whole lot there that's going there to help it out. And so there's some really interesting things to be able to consider there as well. And so it's going to be fun to see how this is going to get that. And so this is going to be fun. I'm going to be curious to see how things are going to be going here because, again, just like that, a lot can change very quickly for Zan and going his way here. There is a lot of gameplay left, but at the same time, he's going to be taking this game here pretty easily. And that's why I'm also so curious about how this deck is going to necessarily do against, Steel Song and things of that nature as well, because I really wish I could go ahead and see Zan's, matchups that he potentially had during that day. Because yeah, it's just really interesting to see. Because Steel Song, I feel like this might be something that he would initially struggle with. I mean, but there's that combo going off again, a Genie and a Jafar, just like that, bouncing something back to hand. So he just literally spent the 1 to put it into the library. And then just like that, 5 damage going into it. The Jafar could very well be going into the shift line right here, and that's going to be a very hard answer for Mo to try to get out. And so this is going to be interesting to see what they are then going to be able to do to get things done here. And of course, the else is going to be a step in the right direction to slow some things down. But I mean, at the same time, Zan is only going to be 2 away at that point to go ahead and get things going there as well. And so at the same time, the EA hasn't necessarily been able to have a lot of answers so far either with this. And so it's going to be interesting to see, Zan has the momentum here. The removal hasn't necessarily been able to be answered necessarily. You can go ahead and tack into like the Genie, for example, but even then, that doesn't necessarily feel all that great. There's just not a whole lot that, Mo has going for him here in this case as well. And so it's going to be fun to see, though. But here goes Zan. Another Genie is going to be coming out. And really, that's going to be the hardest part about this matchup, especially EA. There's not going to be a whole lot that they can do about getting rid of Jafars. You have the Elsa, sure, but that's really going to be about it here in this case as well. And so there's going to be a Diablo coming out, a Pete going down for Ink, because I mean, Pete's dead in this matchup. You got to worry about a couple of things like Mother Knows Best. Okay, cool, that's fine. I don't care. Kind of thing. There's not really a whole lot more that you have to worry about in that case. And so it's just so interesting because Zan, just like that, is going to have the board built. There's not necessarily a whole lot that can be responded to. The Go-Go can be, of course, boosted by uh, the crab to take out a Genie, maybe, but even then, that trade isn't necessarily feeling all that great. But there's a Fox to be able to go in and take out a Diablo, but again, that's a little bit slow there, unfortunately. But that's all he can do. And again, Zan very well could have a whole new world. He has the Jafar out, and it's going to survive. The only thing that really can take it out is going to be a Zeus. Or, of course, they could always bounce back with the Mother Knows Best in this case, which would be a good matchup here. But still, even so, it looks like, yeah, the Cobra is going to be coming out, discarding a Smee, and then a Singing of the Whole New World is just going to go up to an insanely high amount of lore. And just like that, if he has another Whole New World, he can go ahead and just immediately have the Robin Hood sing it even, and that's game. Just absolute insanity there as well. Just the things. But even not, I mean, he still has 5 lore that he can still quest for, and so I mean, it's a really interesting deck idea. Things that I absolutely love to be able to see. And then, yep, there's another draw 2, gain 2 as well. just trying to find that final whole new world. And then there's the lamp that can automatically just come out and go ahead and draw and gain. And that's another lore gain again. And then there's the whole new world and just another strong winning there. I mean, just absolutely crazy how they were able to do that. And I mean, this is just the speed of it. Once you get the Jafar out, yeah, you're just digging as fast as you can to try to get there and get things going. I love the fact that we finally have a Jafar deck that is looking pretty good. I'm curious about some more matchups. I want to see how the matchups particularly go, because I do want to see what those kinds of decks can do against, how do you play against the discard? How do you play against the the Steel Song and whatnot? And what are the difficulties that each of those decks have in these kinds of matchups? And so those are going to be a lot of things that you need to keep in mind as you go ahead and play this. It's going to be a really good deck as long as you can go ahead and maintain the card draw, which it looks like that Zan was able to do incredibly well. And I mean, gosh, that card, the Genie's Lamp or whatnot, was just absolute insanity there. The lamp is just crazy on what it's able to do. Love the idea with that. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts about Zan's deck? Is Jafar Wheel finally in the meta, and how is everything going to be shaping up after that? I mean, we have set champs going along the way. So now, is Jafar Wheel going to finally be played? That's yet to be seen, but I'm pretty excited to see how all that's going to be developed. And with all that being said, until next time, guys, have a good one.